Today I want to talk about scouting. Why even do it, and should you do it? When I first started my video production business, I was a one-man band. I didn't have crew. I was taking calls, I was taking inquiries, and I was just showing up on site and I was filming what I was being told to film. I realized how much time I was wasting. I realized how much stress I was putting myself under by not planning or knowing things ahead of time. Even though that taught me how to find frames faster, it taught me how to set things up faster, it taught me how to be super efficient, which was great, but there was a lot of stress that came with those learnings, which I could have learned in a different way, in a less stressful manner. I always ask myself, how do I get more time to create better looking sets, to get more time to work with the people that I'm filming, to get better shots, to get better sequences? Only way that you can really do that is by planning and by know where you're gonna be and how you're gonna set things up. And the only way that you can know that for sure is by scouting. The thing that I want you to know about scouting is that you can do it, and you can do it now. You can do it at any point in your process. Whether you're just starting out, you're a beginner, you're a videographer, you're a freelancer, you're a production company, at any point in stage that you are in, you can implement scouting. And it's gonna be one of the best decisions that you ever make in terms of your the flow of your production days and your peace of mind and your stress levels and all that stuff. Once the client decides that this is the thing that they want to do, this is what they want to hire you for, the very next thing you do is, okay, cool. When is a good time that I can show up? I can walk the space. Where would you like to film these interviews? Where would you like to film the B-roll? Walk the entire space and see what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Now let's get into what to look for on your scout. When you land a client and it's time to set a scout day and it's time to be on site, what do you do next? Number one when it comes to scouting is figuring out the points of entry. You're showing up to the site. What are the things you need to start looking for? For us, I like to identify all points of entry to the location and what's the easiest path to the potential drop zone. Where are you gonna unload? Where are you gonna, what's the easiest way to get to the front door or the back door? Where are you gonna be unloading your gear and how easy is it gonna be to do that? Are there gates? Are there guards or passes or permits that need to be addressed? Where's the best parking and is it even a safe option? You wanna make sure that if you have a trailer, if you have a van, you have other forms of gear and equipment. Is the truck gonna be safe? Is your equipment gonna be safe? Do you need to pull it all out? Are there backdoor entrances? Are there freight elevators to access and get your gear up to a place easier? How early or how late can you actually be on site? These are all questions that need to be answered as you're walking through this scout. Who is the main point of contact to the location? Who else needs to be made aware of the production? Sometimes you can show up on site and people don't know that you're supposed to be there to film. The biggest thing with productions is communication. Making sure everybody is talking, not just the client, not just the person that you're working with directly with the company or the client or whoever it is. Making sure every single person needs to know that there's a production happening, making sure that they know that and making sure you have the points of contact or being able to talk to those people and let them know what they need to know. Another thing is sometimes the person that you're working with directly with the company isn't the one that's going to be letting you into the location. Depending on the timing that you're gonna show up, depending on how late you're gonna be there, you need to find out who will be letting you into the site and also who will be staying late with you until you wrap up and leave, because that's not always the same person. As you make your way into the building or the location and you start actually walking the spaces, one of the first things that I always do is I make sure that I have one of my guys or myself, we are bringing our cameras in and we are filming each space. We are getting basically behind the scenes footage of the scout. He's gonna be recording the whole time just to make sure that if I need to go back on stuff, revisit conversation pieces or different tidbits, that I can do that.
I think with both facilities,
we're taking our cell phones, we're taking photos, we're taking video of each and every potential space. And then once we find a space that we like and we see and try out frames, we use our cameras, we get our frames, we typically use the same lenses that we're going to be using on the day of the production, and then we try to find our frames. We try to find what works, what are the ways that we're going to be using this space, which angles look the best, which ones do we like the most. We kind of shotgun and get as many different frames as possible. Later we can take them back to the studio, we can eyeball them, we can set a game plan for lighting and what we want to do with the spaces. What we're grabbing here today is literally just these are reference points for me to take home, look at and say, how do I want this to be shown? when we actually film it for real. Do I want somebody walking in the frame? Do we want to add lights anywhere to make it look better? So that's kind of what these are for. Because there's a lot of things that like I'll think of that I don't think about while we're here, because I don't have the time to kind of mull things over. But as I look back on it and go, oh, okay, see, this would be cool to do here.
That makes sense. Yeah, you're busy just trying to listen today, but then when you're on your own, you can just
you
take
can really think about it. Because last thing I want to do is do it here today, because if we did, then you'd be stuck with us for longer than you'd want. Look at that. That is grand. See, like, I mean, you literally just in this one space, you can do 4 different really elaborate interviews. Like this by itself easily could be one interview background. So imagine running that wide at 16 and like you've got someone like right here and you're seeing just all of that in the background. That's impressive. Are any of these lights controllable in terms of just like, can you dim them, can you brighten them, or is it just all one? Okay, that's not too bad. So like, if anything, you could take, we would just have to like cut the top here from those lights. It's just, yeah, it's a good option. I know that we got it. Yeah, really, really cool space. And also in every room that you find that's usable, if there's windows, no matter whether you're shooting outside or inside, make sure you're taking screenshots of the sun placement. The sun placement in the rooms, that's gonna be a huge indicator of what you can do, where the sun is, what is that room gonna look like at a specific time that you're gonna be filming. Knowing that ahead of time is gonna help you game plan what to do, how to light, and also do you need to bring in blankets to block windows because the sun's gonna be pouring in too much and it's gonna be hitting parts of the room that you don't want it to be hitting.
And is the suction cup gonna leave a mark on the ceiling?
That's not necessary.
Yes, it is.
We don't need to talk about that. I put a suction cup on the ceiling and there's a mark. Also, are there any limitations to set decoration? Can you move the chairs? Can you move anything that is in those rooms and in those spaces? Are they gonna allow you to do that? Typically, whenever we're doing interviews and whenever we're doing B-roll and we're setting lights, we move stuff all the time. And if we can't, then we need to know that up front. It helps us to get a better game plan ahead of time when we know certain things that can be moved and certain things that can't. Do the rooms or any parts of the location have to be rented? Do they have to be signed off for? Do they have to be reserved? Because sometimes that's the case. Depending on what company, what brand, what situation, sometimes the corporate offices, like there are rooms that need to be reserved and they need to be saved because other companies, other people will use them or rent them, and not asking about that. And sometimes people don't think to tell you about that. And so asking, can this room be saved? Does it need to be reserved? Do we need to rent it? Does the company need to rent it for themselves? Asking these questions are going to save you a lot of heartache, a lot of stress, and a lot of, issues that could possibly arise. Also, are there any sound issues that could arise? Is there machines around or next door that could make crazy noises while you're filming and cause terrible audio to be recorded? Is there gonna be stuff that's gonna be interrupting you, or any intrusions? Are people gonna be, is there, super high traffic areas that people are gonna be walking in and out? All of these are really important to know ahead of time, and especially while you're on a scout. Because of the microphones that we use nowadays, because of the technology, because of AI, being able to enhance audio and be able to clear audio up and not distort audio as much as it used to, we can get away with being in a louder room. For instance, when we were at Parks Automotive Group filming our interviews, we were in a showroom. It was busy. There was people walking around the backgrounds. We had to block it off. It was loud. There was other people talking. There was, AC units going on. We did have the music turned off, but there was still other elements to it that, created a not so perfect environment for sound. However, when you looked at the other options when we were scouting, we realized none of the rooms that they gave us options for really worked that well. And they were perfect in sense of like we had ultimate control in terms of We were not going to be interrupted. We were not going to have any major sound issues, and it was going to be very controlled and very easy to work with. The problem that I was running into was that it wasn't a good-looking frame. That's one of the biggest things for me is every interview, every production that we do, I want us to have a signature look. I want us to have a signature. I want to be able to use the best room, the best area, the best, most aesthetically pleasing room that I can use, because I will take a better looking room over a perfect room. I will take a better looking area, environment, and set that is going to help make the overall image, the overall quality of the production better, and I will take that little bit of potential audio, interruptions, or maybe the sound, maybe the room is a little bit louder ambient wise than another one, but I will take that louder ambience if that room looks better and it overall just adds to the production, because I can tweak the audio in post and I can clean it up and make it better. We can resolve that. What you can't fix in post, unless you want to run AI or unless you want to do green screen or something and replace the whole background, I'm gonna go and create and use the best looking background, the best looking set that we possibly can use. I will make those small sacrifices every single time for a good looking frame. Over the last few years, as we've been scouting and as we've been doing productions, I'm always pushing, I'm always asking, what can we do better? What's the next thing? What did I not think about on the scout? What were the questions that I didn't ask on this scout that could have prevented an issue on set this time? And so the list that I outlined here is just a few of the things that I've written down in our process of just, this helps us overall. These are the things that we want to ask. These are the questions that we have to ask and the things we need to know in order for our production to go as smooth as possible on the day of. And so I hope this helps. I hope this helps you kind of get a game plan of how you would want to scout, or how maybe you can just, this was simple enough to where you can just take this and start implementing it in your process right now. And I highly recommend it. And if this doesn't make total sense for you or how you want to do it, mold it, start it. You can start it however you want. You can start it in as simple as you want to. You can start it as complex as you want to. You don't have to be, a huge production company. You can still be a one-man band and start implementing scouts and start implementing planning, and it will save you so much time, so much stress. And so anyways, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comment, and I'll see you in the next video.